Good evening. Hello, everybody. Woo! What a ride, huh? What a ride. We're going to talk a little bit about the latest events. Make sure when you know the drill, you guys that have been with me for all these years, just go ahead and make sure you let me know where you're signaling from. And we're going to get right into it. Make sure you do a thumbs up. Well, thank you for those of you who are on already. Just sign in the chat box so that I'll know that you're here and where you're signaling from. So, if you're like probably 88% of America, you feel unburdened by what has been. I'm not kidding. My husband's laughing, but whew, um, it's been rough. It's been really rough for the last several years. Um, we've been through quite a bit. The country has been through quite a bit. The citizens have been through quite a bit. Has had to endure uh, more trauma, psychological operations, betrayals, and treason than I ever think I've ever seen in my lifetime. But God has a people that know how to pray and have given their lives to honoring His purpose for our nation and for one another. And in spite of the lies and the vitriol that has come from both parties at different times toward um, President elect Trump, other patriots that have gone to prison and are still in prison for made up crimes, superficial lawsuits that were constructed actually to destroy their lives and to bankrupt them. We've been through a lot. We've dealt with the lies, we've dealt with the backstabbing from politicians that should have been working with us as elected officials from other elected officials. I think I think President Trump has learned a lot in the 8 years that he's been being persecuted. He's learned a lot. When he first went into the White House in 2016, he didn't really know anybody in the political arena other than being somewhat of a celebrity himself and people wanting to rub shoulders with him. Hello, Medicine Park. How are you? And there'll be others coming on later. If they don't come on later, they'll come on later. But anyway, um, I think he's learned a lot. Now, I want to make my position clear on this. I'm not a groupie. Um, I'm not a person that blindly follows everything I hear, every wind of doctrine, every shiny thing. Yeah, I've lived long enough to know that that's stupid. I never surrendered my um, ability to reason and to think for myself, and I never put on the shelf the common sense that God gave me. So I wasn't duped by a lot of things that I saw and experienced over the last few years. I have my own stories I could tell about political betrayal and political incest and climbing the political ladder and people using you to do it and or trying to isolate you so that they could do it. And I've run the gamut with the stuff, and I appreciate the fact that there are people in this world that have a strong moral constitution to keep going. Uh, they have a strong conviction about what the scripture says what our sights should be fixed on. And and they have their spiritual senses exercised enough to know the difference between good and evil. And while President Trump is a believer in God, I don't believe he's a Christian. I do believe he believes in God, but I don't believe his life is surrendered to Christ. But how many of them were, right? So there you go, right? We haven't had a whole lot of presidents whose lives were surrendered to Christ, or the nation wouldn't be where it is right now. That's just a fact. So there's that. However, I don't count him out because of that. Um, I believe that God can put advisors around him that can speak truth and light and righteousness to him. He's not a stupid man. He was pretty naive back in 2016. He thought that he could go into Washington, D.C. with his business prowess and just make everything run smooth. And he found out that it is an animal of a whole different color. And, but he knows now. He knows now. He made a lot of mistakes his first term, and he knows that. He recognizes that. He has a long memory, which can be good or bad, depending on what side of that you're on. So I want to tell us today, tonight, don't relax. This is way too smooth. When you look back at the 8 years of the level of absolute demonic hatred that the citizens of this nation have had to deal with, don't think they're just going to go all quietly into the night, okay? Because they're not. They're not. Um, they're letting us have this moment right now, but they're not finished by any stretch of the imagination, okay? So I don't want anybody to relax, stop praying, thinking that we got it in the bag. I was talking to some members of of our state committee earlier this morning, early, somewhere in the middle of the night. And I was telling them, I don't think that a lot of people understand just how close to a living hell we came. There were some of us who did know. And I just don't think people got it. I don't think they understand or understood just how close we came and just how close we still are. Listen, folks, a whole lot can happen between now and January. A lot can happen. We're still on the brink of war. He has not been sworn in yet, so he kind of doesn't have any power. I don't know why the vice president is giving a speech talking about we believe in the peaceful transfer of power. Well, first of all, she's not the president, so she doesn't transfer power. And not only that, but where is the president? I mean, where's president? Where's President Biden? How come he didn't give a speech about the peaceful transfer of power? The other thing is there are other nations that are pitted against us that they don't want to go to war. We have been provoking a war. The military industrial complex has been trying to drag as many people as they can into war. Why? Because war is money, and there are parts of our government that just simply have a bloodlust. They're not happy unless they're spilling blood and getting paid for it. It's disgusting. It's demonic, and it's a few other things. I'm not even going to get into it. But I want us to be careful. Listen, we heard the thing about the peaceful transfer of power when Barack Obama was leaving office. And then he unleashed Antifa on our country. He did that. Okay? He did that. So they will stand on the national mic like they have always done and lie, look you straight in the face and lie right through their teeth. Now, this whole time, we've been hearing about how wonderful the economy is and how great things were going. And here, you're looking in your refrigerator and looking at your budget and realizing that you're only able to buy half or less than half of what you were able to buy just 4 years ago. But somehow that's wonderful. Well, it's wonderful for somebody, but it wasn't for you, was it? So don't relax. It ain't over. We're just beginning. We have to get through a lot of things. There's been a lot of damage that's been done to our economy, to small businesses, um, mom and pop businesses. Our education system is in shambles. There's a lot that has been shipwrecked, and it's been done deliberately. About 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, um, I told a group of people, I said, because I'm looking out. I'm one of those people, I can kind of look down the line and I can see where something's going. And so what I try to do is I try to prepare people for what I see coming. They might not see it, but there's a lot of people that have been in my life for over 20 years that know me very well, very well. They know me, they know my relationship with Christ, and they know that when I tell them something, it is so. Okay. And so I'm not one to talk or flap my gums. I don't like the sound of my own voice. I don't have to do all that. But when God shows me something and I have liberty to release that, that's what I do. And they can tell you that I hadn't been wrong yet. You know why? Because God's not a liar. That's why. Because he will protect his people. He will tell us what we need to do to weather a storm. Now, one of the things that I said 4 years ago was God is going to let this thing run its course. Now, why did he do that? Why did he allow so much stuff to happen, so many things to go wrong? Because a lot of times, it's just like I had been trying to say. People don't believe that things are as bad as they are if they're living in a little bubble. When it hits their doorstep, then all of a sudden they get an epiphany. Oh, wait a minute, this isn't good. I've been talking to you all about medicine. How long have I been talking to you all about medicine and about learning how to take care of yourself? Make sure you sign in the chat because I see you on, but I don't know who you are because you didn't say hi to me. How dare you? Anyway, say hi in the chat. So now President Trump is putting together a team that I hope, I'm sure, will be better than the last team that he put together. The last time he put together his cabinet, because he didn't know anybody, he had to go on the advice of people that had been in Washington for a long time, not knowing that some of them were Republicans in name only, or that some of them were just outright snakes, communists, socialists, Marxists. He didn't know that. So he had to go by their recommendations. Well, here we are. They stabbed him in the back and they took the country down the drain. So now he's putting together a cabinet. I'm gonna tell you, I can't tell you that I trust all of them because I don't. I've got my eye on some of them because I know what they're about. And I'm hoping, I'm also praying that God opens his eyes, President Trump's eyes, and gives him wisdom so that he's not running on sheer ego or know-how, but that he's empowered by the Spirit of God and the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. That's what he needs, right? This is not about man's wisdom or enticing words, right? This is about demonstration and power of God. That's what this is about. I'm telling you, that is the only way we got to where we are right now. That because God has a people that is praying for this country. We saw what was happening. The politicians that are God-fearing or just patriotic moved into position, knocked on the door of heaven and asked God to help us. That's what we've done, and sacrificed our time and our finances and um, whatever it would take to save this country from falling into absolute corruption and chaos. It's already bad. Now, if you look back and you see where we have come from, where we are, and what is being forecasted, it's a huge, huge difference. I feel sorry for the many, many migrants that were lied to and that were duped into coming here and being told that they would get this and they would get that and they would get the other. They were lied to because some of them got it, but they didn't tell them they were only going to get it for 30 days or they were only going to get it if they were a family for 60 days and then good luck. They weren't told that. They weren't told that. So we have millions of people in our country with no chance of employment, of housing, nothing. They were lied to. They were used like cannon fodder, just shot into the country in the name of we're going to give you some place to live in an open society policy that stems from the Soros camp. There's going to be a lot of angry people. These people are going to go through the stages of grief, okay? Last night, first thing this morning, they were in absolute shock and disappointment. I mean, shock. Now they've got past the shock. Now they're grieving. Next, they're going to be pissed, okay? I mean, they're going to be angry and just watch. Watch how they act. Watch how they act. Now, here's the scary part. If I can just use that phrase, because I'm not scared or anything. But here's the interesting part. Watch when they don't react the way they did the first time. You really better keep your head on a swivel then. Because I'm telling you, just as sure as I'm black and sitting in front of this camera, they are not giving up this easily. They're just not going. They're not going to do it. They've got too much at stake. There's too many people that could go to prison for treason for them to stop now. They don't want. They don't want to go to jail. We have people. There's too much stuff that can turn against them. We have the Senate. I don't know if we have the House. I think we have the House, but we need the House by a good margin. Because the House of Representatives holds the purse strings. The House of Representatives is the one that releases the money for war or not, or for Homeland Security, things like that, right? The House of Representatives was the one that stopped the wall from being built the first time. Remember that? The Chucky Schumers and the Pelosi's and all those people. Oh, walls don't work while they were living in their gated communities with the walls up. While they have the White House cordoned off right now, but walls don't work. Fencing doesn't work. It works for them, but oh, Lord. Anyhow, hi, Donna. How are you? Let me see. I'm going to read your comment. Happy to see you tonight. At present, my emotions are all over the place. I was a lifelong Democrat, but had to actually think about policies instead. And I'm so glad. Hi, JB. I was a Democrat for a long time because I grew up in a Democrat family. I didn't know no better. I mean, they just, hey, you're a Democrat. So, okay, I'm a Democrat. And then I started learning about the history of the parties and how they came into being and what the whole Civil War was about, which was the economy, believe it or not. Slavery was the fuel that fed the fear of a collapsing economy. In other words, if they didn't treat us like the machinery that would harvest their crops and stuff, then it would be a bad thing because you just don't treat humans like that. So you have to dehumanize an individual to just willy-nilly kill them for wanting a better life. So we had to be reduced to machinery. Okay. And then if you take away the machinery, well, who's going to run my cotton gins and who's going to transport my stuff and who's going to do all this and all that? Because I'm not going to do it because, I'm a Southern Belle or whatever. Anyhow, that's a history lesson for another day. I was a Democrat too. I've been a Republican for many years now. Um, and as a matter of fact, I was so disgusted with the Republican Party at one point, so disgusted with the party because they would do nothing. They would see what was happening and they would do nothing. They would do nothing. And I got sick of that and I was going to leave. And then I thought, you know what? The problem with being an independent or libertarian is that you have to get Congress. You have to get Congress. And there are Republicans and Democrats in Congress. I don't know of any libertarians or independents in Congress. You virtually have no voice. You can vote in the general election pretty much, but you really surrender your voice when you go outside of the two parties that hold the power in the nation. So I understand wanting to distance oneself from either, but if you want to be effective, then you have to be where you can be effective. I would not be a state committee person for my state if I was an independent, because there's no place, there's nowhere for me to go. So whereas I have serious problems with the Republican Party and the lack of honor and respect and loyalty for one another that I have seen and experienced in the party, my commitment is to God and to the people that elected me to serve them. My term is coming to an end in a few months. My term on everything is coming to an end. My term as the president of the Republican women here in my county is coming to an end in a couple of weeks, unless I'm reelected, and then I have to decide whether I want to stay in office or not if I'm nominated. My term as a precinct chair for my precinct is coming to an end, and I've served in that capacity for 2 years. Well, this is not 2 years, 4 years. This is my second term. I don't think I'm going to do that again. I think I'll let somebody else do that. And so we'll see. We'll just see what God says. I want to be in his will, doing what he wants me to do. And I want to be able to serve the country and the people as best I can. So that may require me to be in a completely different position altogether. I don't know. But I want to encourage you to keep your ears and your heart open to whatever it is God may be asking you to do. We have dodged a bullet, so to speak. And it's by the grace of God. Make no mistake about it, folks. Do not take this for granted. Don't take this for granted. I got to meet with a group of ministers later on this evening. And the first thing that we're going to do is take some time to thank God for what he's done. This is nothing short of miraculous. I have never seen an individual go through what this man and his family and his staff members have gone through and nothing worked. That's a miracle. That is a miracle. We have had presidents that have died in office going through less than this with attempts on their life that were successful. Okay, so I'm telling you, this is something else. And I think people need to take a step back and think, God must like this guy. I don't like him, but God must like this guy for some reason. And my arms are too short to box with God. So I'm just going to back off and just let him do whatever he's got to do. And when the next 4 years rolls around, then I'll go ahead and cast my vote then for whatever I think. But I tell you, God can use whoever he chooses to use. The problem with this country is that it has gotten away from the principles that it was founded on. And even though our founding fathers were very imperfect men, and some of them had very twisted and warped ideologies, the principles at their core honored God, honored people, saw every person as a person, not a machine, not a thing, not 2/3 human or whatever the number was. Every person was created equal by God. And so the only way that you can vote the opposite side of that is if you have no honor or respect for God or for life. I mean, that's really how I see it. Now, if that's where you're at, then that's where you're at. But that's just the truth. So there you go. So there's some things. Make sure you sign in, you guys, and click the thumbs up button. JB, I'm so glad. Did you get the notice? Or did you just happen to check to see if I was here? I had no intentions on coming on this evening, but then I thought, I need to go talk to my peeps. See how's everybody doing? How y'all doing? Y'all all right? Did y'all survive? That's right, JBC. I figured God chose this particular person to do a particular job. That's how his will be done. That's right. That's right. You know, when hello, LT, hello from Jersey. Oh, you didn't get a notice? None of you guys got a notice. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so let's just back up a bit and look at like I said a while ago, where we were. Our country is in crisis. And I'm gonna say something that I know some people will, boy, if the mainstream media was on here, they would take what I'm saying and just run with it and come up with a whole new tagline or whatever to twist what I'm about to say. But I'm gonna say this. And let me just qualify my statement before I say it. And that's this. I am not a Russian agent. Okay. let me just let me just tell you that. I'm not Russia's new darling and all these kind of stuff. I'm not a racist. I'm not a white supremacist. Imagine that. I'm not any of that stuff. But I'm gonna tell you this about Mr. Putin. The way our military has been decimated and our generals are running around with dresses on, fingernail polish, with gender dysphoria, our military has been weakened. They have no respect for us. We don't have enough equipment. Most of our equipment was left by this current administration in Afghanistan, on just left in the country. Billions of dollars of brand new equipment. Our military has been decimated. They kicked people out for not wanting to subject themselves to a drug that they had no confidence in. They kicked them out of the military, which further weakened our military. Then it was so bad, and the word got out that it was so bad that they started begging them to come back. And you know what? The people gave them the middle finger pretty much and said, I'm not fighting for you. I'm not defending your cause. I'm not doing any of that. The way you treated me and I was willing to put my life on the line for this country and you spit in my face like that? Nope. So I said all that to say this. Our enemies could have taken us out. I'm telling you, they could have taken us out. And again, there's the mercy of God. I believe Vladimir Putin respects Trump, whether he likes him or not. He knows that if Trump says, I'm going to do something, he's going to do it. He's if he says, I'm going to do it, he's going to do it. And if he can't do it, it'll be because there was such opposition from Congress, and it had to go through Congress, that he couldn't get it done. Not that he didn't try, right? North Korea, Iran, these different countries that have their weapons pointed at us, nobody wants war, folks. Nobody wants war except the current administration because it's money. Nobody wants war. Putin could have wiped us off the map. Do you hear me? He could have done it. He has the equipment to do it because we were so weak, and not because he was so strong, but because our military was so decimated. North Korea could have wiped us off the map. And I'm telling you, it's the hand of God that stayed these people and kept them from doing damage to us because they realized that the people that were running the country are not well. All right. They're not well. And they have enough humanity to think we're not going to go in and destroy a whole nation because their leadership is mentally ill. We're going to wait till we get somebody that's got all their senses screwed into their head right. And then if they want to act the fool and want to tango, okay, that's a different story. But we're not going to wipe out a country because the leadership is mentally ill or politically twisted. The man has exercised incredible restraint. I mean, that's how I see it. And I ain't no friend of Putin, okay? I ain't never had a conversation with him, so don't go start lying on me talking about she's one of Putin's agents. No, never had a conversation with him. He never had a conversation with me. Ain't none of that never happened. He doesn't even know I exist. Well, he might, but I doubt it. But anyway, I just think, and I felt in my gut, that man has exercised incredible restraint because he knew that President Biden is mentally ill with dementia, Alzheimer's, or whichever one it is, and that the vice president was a placeholder, an incompetent placeholder. Now, am I name calling? No, look at the numbers. Okay. Over 88% of the country had no confidence in this administration to let it continue. And the fact that Obama, hi, Miss Jazzy. Hey, Carol. The fact that Obama insulted Black men and pretty much said that they needed to get behind this sister, this woman, because she was a Black, that was the only qualification. And she ain't Black, okay? I tell you, I feel sorry for the people that are just losing their minds right now because they were so used and so duped that it's just sad. It's really sad. I mean, I don't understand why anybody would vote against the ability to own their own home, to have food that's not full of toxic chemicals, to have medicine that doesn't come from an enemy. I mean, you got to be a certain level of mentally ill to vote against or to vote for that kind of stuff. And that is what this administration was offering. And the people have had 4 years to experience what this administration had to offer. When the vice president was asked, what would she do differently than what President Biden had done? She said she couldn't think of a single thing. You know what that means? There would have been 4 more years of inflation, of your 401k disappearing, of all kinds of chaos, the borders open, more apartments, buildings being commandeered by gangs. This is what they want. This is what you do when you want to take down a country. You abolish the laws, you ignore the laws, you let the citizens feel the heel of your boot on their throat. And you celebrate that. You turn a blind eye to the crimes, the criminals, the poisoning of our food, the recalls, the slaying of our animals. That is also our food. The shutting down of farms, the telling farmers they can't use fertilizer, a mass genocide extinction event is what they were trying to do. And God said, not today. Okay? So I want you to understand why you're still here. I want you to understand why we have not been nuked. I want you to understand how close we came to a living hell. I want you to understand, you need to understand that. So this ain't no time to go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. Okay? Celebrate. Sword in one hand, hammer in the other. That's what Nehemiah told the people when they were rebuilding the wall. Sword in one hand, hammer in the other. What does that mean? You be ready to defend yourself if you have to, but keep working. Keep your eye on the prize. And what's the prize? The prize is maintaining your freedom and the liberty that God gave you for your children, your grandchildren, and their children. Listen, folks, I know the demographics of my channel, and I'm going to tell you right now, what God is doing right now is not just about us. He is a generational God, okay? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, down the line. He's a generational God. So it's not just about us who are playing the back nine, and we may have another 10 years to go, 20 years, maybe 30 before we check out. It ain't just about us, okay? It's not just about us. Hello, Natalie. How are you? Now, we're going to see how this goes, okay? We're going to see how this goes. I know that there are some people that are terrified and that have bought into this whole the guy is a monster thing. Let me just say again for the record. I'm rarely in 100% agreement with any politician. Okay? I mean, sometimes I have checked myself. So I do not agree with everything that President Trump did when he was in office. Let me make that clear, okay? I have a mind of my own. I'm not hypnotized. I'm not bewitched. I haven't lost my ability to reason. And I'm certainly not full of bitterness and vitriol where I just can't think. And the only thing I can see is that I don't like the guy. I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't like him. You know, I know policies. I vote for policies. That's what I vote for. Okay. I'm retired. President Trump can't take my retirement. Okay, let me just put it to you like that. He can't take my retirement. So you might be able to take yours. So you better find some way to put it where you can't get it. If that's your concern, you're just gonna sit back and let that happen. If that's what you think is going to happen, what you gonna do about that? Anyway, let me go to my notes here. I wrote some things down. So the country has been in crisis for the last 4 years, and by a small handful of people, a small demographic of people who I really feel like are bewitched. I think that they are deceived, have been deceived, and have been led around by their feelings, especially the younger generations, because it's their feelings. It's how they feel. I feel he's a racist. I feel he's a Nazi. I feel it. Well, when the president of the United States goes on the national mic and calls 80-something% of the country garbage, this is the person that you want to lead? I mean, he called us garbage. Barack Obama's Secretary of State called us irredeemable, deplorables. I mean, I don't understand how people don't want to address those things. Called us Nazis and all. I mean, they don't want to address those things, but they want to hone in on his flaws, but they don't want to address how their rhetoric And the stuff that they've been saying and doing for the last 8 years may have fed into some of the problems that we've had. See, one of the things that you do when you're an adult is you're able to look yourself in the eye and take responsibility for what you've done. Okay? So let's do that. Let's take a look in the mirror and see what we as an individual, as a nation, could have done differently, right? One of the things that I've learned is that I need to look more closely at people who are running for office and wanting my endorsement. And I've learned to do that. I have learned to do that. See, before, I would just look at a person. I've been approached about giving up a seat and doing all these different things. I've watched other people do it just to be stabbed in the back after you've done it. After you've stepped back and thinking, you're gonna be on a team of people that want to save the country or want to save the state or want a better life for everybody, right? Just to find out that they're not who they say they are, and they really don't want what they say they want, or if they do want it, they want it at your expense. I've learned some things since I've been an elected official. I've learned some things. I've learned how to watch my back. That's for sure. I've always known that, but I'm really honed in now. I've learned that. And yeah. Anyway, let me just say, America and the world is experiencing what I would call an awakening. This is why this vote turned out the way it did. People didn't vote this way because they're racist and because they don't want you to have anything. They voted this way because they want everybody who is a citizen of this country to be able to live a free and prosperous life. That's why they voted this way, because we've seen what has happened in the last 4 years, and more than half of America don't want no more of this. Okay, we just don't. We don't want any more of this. And let me just say this to the seasoned politicians, the movie stars, and all these people who keep threatening to leave. Maybe I should look into finding, putting together some kind of a coalition to take up a collection so that you can go to Afghanistan or some other country who hates us as much as you do, and you can link up with them and do your thing. You know what I mean? Because the rest of us just want to live in peace. We want to be able to raise our families, enjoy nature, support a government that supports us, and mind our business and be left alone. That's what patriots want. That's what patriots want. Everybody else, y'all can leave, okay? You in the wrong country. You're in the wrong country. We don't want to send our family members to fight wars that don't profit anybody except the man behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? We don't want that. We don't want more people to die, whether it's our country or some other country. Those people have mothers and fathers too. We respect life. We don't want to kill off our citizens before they get here, before they have a voice. We don't want to do that. And guess what? If somebody had done that to you, you wouldn't be looking at me on the screen opposing what I'm saying right now. So, hello. Welcome to the human race, right? Other people want to get here too. That's all I'm trying to tell you. I believe we're going through an awakening, which is why this election went the way it went. People are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're tired of being broke. They're tired of watching their money go down the tubes. They're tired of being threatened with being taxed on their tips and being, you already don't make a whole lot in tips and they want to take that too. No, people are like, we're done with this. We are sick of this. We had it better before. I didn't like the guy, but I wasn't living like this. I could buy eggs. I didn't have to eat spam all the time. When he was in office, my life was better. Now, I had somebody come on my channel once. God bless her. She said, my life wasn't better under Trump. And I said, Trump's not responsible for irresponsible decisions. Okay. He we have people living in different economic situations. Okay. There is no president, no cabinet member, no nobody that can fix your every problem. The economy could be booming. Everywhere I went when President Trump was in office before, there were signs, help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. The factories were coming back, manufacturing was coming back, businesses were coming back. We had more stuff going on than we had people to fill the positions. So if you didn't go get a job when the jobs were booming and we had more work than we had people, don't blame Trump because you didn't want to go work. Okay. If you were working and you were blowing your money on foolishness, right? You were living high off the hog and not managing your money, trying to get out of the financial hole that you put yourself in or someone else put you in. Don't blame Trump. I say my life wasn't better under him. But whose fault was that? Was that your fault or somebody else's fault? Because he don't even know you. Okay, so don't blame him. That's all I'm saying about that. Anyhow, we have a rough road ahead of us. Now, I know that the president has said he cast his vision. He said what he wants for the country. He's very much concerned about this country, keeping us safe and all that. But he's not going to be able to, he ain't going to do it without a fight. There will be a fight. There will be a fight for people to stay in power. And the other thing that people are concerned about is that they have broken so many laws. So many laws. They have spit on the Constitution so much that they're afraid of going to jail. They are afraid of revenge. That's what they're afraid of. Now, I want to explain something to you. There is a difference. I was having this conversation with my husband earlier. And I said, there is a difference between revenge and justice. Okay? Revenge is full of hatred and vitriol. It is seeking out to destroy a person and destroy their life. Justice is what is due a person because of the things that they have done or the infractions that they have caused. And there is a law that deals with their infraction. When that law is applied justly, that is justice. Okay? So the law is for the lawless. That's what the scripture says. Without the law, there's no knowledge of wrongdoing. So when you have a law, it's to let you know where a boundary is. When you spit on that boundary or you cross that boundary or you mock that boundary and then it comes back to haunt you, that's justice. That's not revenge. All right. So, my suggestion is don't break the law. That's my suggestion. And not only should you not break the law, but you should work to get people in office that will write good laws that make everyone safer, more prosperous, right? And individual responsibility. That's the difference between a republic and a democracy. That's the difference. Individual responsibility. You're responsible for your life, not the government. In a democracy, the government is responsible for your life. They tell you where you can go, what you can eat, how much you can. This is what they were trying to do. You can't eat meat. You have to eat bugs. You can't own a house. You have to live in an apartment. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. It went so far that they were even wanting to legislate how you would feel about how you were living. Okay? You will be happy when we take everything from you. They were trying to legislate how you should feel about having your farm stolen from you. Okay? So I'm just telling you, that's the difference. In a republic, it is individual responsibility. If you want to work, you go to work. You want to start a business, you start a business. You want to prosper your family, you leave them an inheritance. It's not up to the government. It is up to you to do that. So, pardon me? Let me tell you something else. My husband just reminded me of something that I mentioned to him earlier. Do you know what they're doing in Britain? Come here, let me tell you. Let me tell you. This is what they're doing. They sent a couple to prison for praying outside of an abortion clinic. And let me tell you, they weren't holding signs, they weren't chanting, they weren't marching around the building telling the walls to fall down. They weren't doing none of that. They were standing there, not opening their mouths in silent prayer. And Scotland made it a law. It's against the law to pray silently. Now, how they're going to enforce that is just beyond me. I have no idea. I mean, what kind of madness is that? You can't pray silently. What are they going to read your mind? And not only that, but it's against the law to have a prayer meeting in your home. Yeah, oh yeah, that law just went into effect. This is the stuff that went on in Nazi Germany. And people were afraid to have guests come over because they didn't know who was reporting to the police. That's how Corrie ten Boom and her family, well, she didn't get executed, but that's how her family got executed, died in the death camps because they trusted a neighbor who acted like he wanted to help them, who acted like he shared their vision of helping people and personal responsibility and all that. And all he was doing was gathering intel and giving it to the Nazis. So they lost everything. She lost her sister, Betsy, her father, her mother, all of them perished in the death camps. And she got out because of a number that was twisted. Their identification numbers. The number was switched by mistake. The grace of God again. And she got out and the other person stayed in and probably died there. So, if that's the kind of world you want to live in, I'm telling you, there are countries that are doing it. Fill your boots. Go live there. They'd love to have you. I'm serious. They would love to have you. I ain't mad at you because that's the kind of life you want to live. I'm just saying most of America doesn't want to live that. And you're going to be miserable here. If that's what you want, your hair's going to be on fire all the time. Because the policies that this administration that just got elected want to enact are for your freedom and for the freedom of your children and your family members. And if that's a burr in your saddle, you are really in the wrong country. There are other countries that would welcome your ideology because you're in lockstep with them. And that's where you should set your sights on. And then you can live in peace because you'll be around people who feel just like you. Because our presence is going to make you miserable. Okay. So I'm just saying. JB says, don't blink too slow. You may be accused of praying silently. Yeah, I mean, that's some crazy stuff. That's just nuts. So anyhow, good luck with that, enforcing that law, stopping people from praying silently. Anyway, so let's see. I just want to reiterate that we are where we are now because God has been good to us. God's people have cried out for his mercy. We did it when 9/11 happened. It didn't take long for the country to go back to their debauchery, but I pray that the awakening is not short-lived. I pray that people understand that God wants the best for them, that he wants them to have freedom and liberty, and that all of the propaganda and the lies and the hatred and all this stuff is not what makes a country, a family, a business thrive. It doesn't. You can see where we are. This administration had the chance to turn things around if they felt like it had gone off the rails. They didn't because this was their vision. They weren't finished. Um, Barack Obama, this was his third term. He tried with all of his might to destroy this business and then disrespected black men by telling them if they didn't get behind this incompetent woman, that they were not doing their job, as if they had no right to exercise their own political individuality and vote according to their conscience and their observations. How dare he? Really? You know? And I'm so glad that black men said, man, you had your chance. You know, you had 8 years when you were in office, you had the House, you had the Senate, and you screwed our country over. You did nothing for the black community. You gave yourself a Nobel Peace Prize before you had done anything. You passed out medals as if that was a big deal, as if that put food in somebody's pantry, as if that fixed our screwed up education system. What did you do for America? You made yourself rich. You talked about global warming. You talked about, environmental controls. You talked about how the sea was going to dry up or whatever. And then you built a house right on the seashore. I mean, you know, you went in having thousands of dollars and came out having millions. How'd that happen? How'd that happen? From the taxpayers? How'd that happen? Barack? How'd that happen? So America has waken up. I want to thank the patriots that have prayed, that have knocked on doors, that have kept the faith, that have listened to both sides of the argument and made a decision that freedom was better than being cannon fodder. And I want to appeal to the black women who feel like somehow they've lost something when the only thing they were going after and the only thing they were voting for was their right to kill their own children. You got a problem. You got a problem. You got a bloodlust and you need salvation. That's what I'm going to tell you. That's what I'm going to tell you. When you are mad because you don't have the option to kill off your own offspring, and then you want to get mad talking about how the white man's trying to keep you down, when you're killing off your own legacy, yeah, you can miss me with that one. Okay, you need help. Anyway, all right, so y'all go ahead and report me to YouTube so they can shut my channel down. I don't care. I will find another platform somewhere else. But anyhow, I want to thank you guys for what you've done. I want to thank every Democrat who voted to save this country. And I mean that sincerely. Like I said earlier, I used to be a Democrat and I changed because it's like RFK said, the party is different than what it was years ago. Now, not in every aspect, okay, because the Republican Party literally was started to end slavery. It wasn't the Democrats. The Democrats was the ones that wanted to hold on to us because we was the machinery in the field, remember? The Republicans were the ones that said every man is created equal in the eyes of God. They're not machines, they're people. And so when I learned that, I changed my allegiance. And then since then, I decided I don't have any allegiance to the party. My allegiance is to God. And I have no king except Jesus. So there's that. So anyway, I want to thank you, every one of you. First of all, everyone who voted, I want to thank you for doing that. Whether you voted for or against, thank you for voting. For those of you who decided not to vote, that was your right to do that, but I'm disappointed with you because not every country has that freedom, and you took for granted something that you almost lost. Okay. And you just don't know how close you came to not having a voice at all. So, to all the parties, the individuals, the libertarians, the independents, everyone that voted, I want to thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. It's what makes our country great. We don't have to agree on everything. No, who agrees with everybody on everything unless you don't ever listen? If there's two of you in the room, five of you in the room, and everybody's in agreement on everything, well, unless it's the upper room, I don't know what the heck's going on. Somebody ought to have some variation of opinion, or somebody ain't necessary. Okay. So thank you for what you have done. Thank you for being a tool in God's hand to help rescue this country. Because the EU, the WHO, all of these huge non elected officials who wanted to take our country down just got a message from we the people. And that is, we are self governing. We don't need your help. We don't need your input. If we need you, we'll call you. Don't call us. We'll call you. All right. Having said that, congratulations to President Trump and his cabinet. Congratulations and thank you to all of the politicians that stood with him through all this mess that we've been through, for everything that we've been through. And we've been through a lot and we're still going through it. Keep your head on a swivel. They're going to lose their minds. Just give them some time. They're getting past their grief, right? When they get into their pissed off, that's when you really going to see them. So just keep your head on a swivel. Keep prepping. Okay. You don't know what they're fixing to do next. This is not, these people don't concede. Okay. They don't go away. So just keep that in mind. Do not relax. I started this video by saying, don't get relaxed. Okay. Be grateful, but be wise. All right, you guys. Thanks for coming on. I've got another meeting here in about an hour that I need to get ready for. And I really appreciate you. We've been through a lot together, prepping and all this kind of stuff. And I appreciate you hanging in there. Please share the channel. I have over 7,000 subscribers on my channel, and YouTube is just constantly suppressing my channel. And it's not just mine. I mean, there's other content creators that have platinum awards and stuff, and they've shut them down too. I mean, they don't like what we're talking about. They really don't. It's okay. I love people. I love God's people. I don't always like people, but I do love people. I wouldn't be taking my time without pay coming on here ever so often and trying to help you guys and point you in the right direction or give you something to think about or give you something to discuss with your family or tell you how to prep something if I didn't care. I ain't getting paid to do this, okay? So you're very welcome. Enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Don't forget to thank God for where we are, because it's only by his hand that we made it through this over these last several years. All right. I will see you guys the next time I come on. My email is in the description box. Please feel free to write me. I always write you back. Anybody that has ever written me knows I write you back. And if you want me to call you, I will do that. Leave your number when you email me, and I will be happy to call you as long as you're not out of the country. I'll call you. And I will write, at minimum, I will write you back. So, all right. God bless. Godspeed. Thank God. And I will see you the next time I come on. Take care and have a great rest of your week.